everyone, welcome back to the channel, Coding at Home. My name is Matthew Lonsdale, and this is episode 1 of series 2, the crafting system. So, if you haven't done series 1, you could either go back, watch that, I'll put a link in the description, or you could download the full package from the Patreon at tier 2, and if you want, I suppose you could just watch along and see if you can learn something new. Alright, so let's get into it. Now, if you watched the last video of the intro demonstrating what it's going to look like, that's great. If you haven't, I will show you very briefly. This is the project we're going to be building or updating it to today. So we've got the crafting component running exactly like the inventory component. So all you would have to do is bring in a master structure, which used to be the storage box. We'll change that in this episode as well. And you would set the inventory slots. Is it just an inventory? Does it spawn random loot? Add crafting, and then of course if it has crafting, you can add the recipes here. So for example, a recipe would be obviously give it an icon, a name of one of the items, what type of crafting is it, and obviously the requirements to craft it, and that's all done there for you. So you'd say I've got up to 5 requirements. I don't know many games that have more than that, but obviously you can add as many as you want, and looking through the codes you will see how you add an requirement. Okay, so widgets, obviously that's still running off the same, fully dynamic, and here we go. So let's see. So let's do the quick and easy stuff first. So I have another enum. So let's create that now. Blueprint. There we go. Enum. So this is going to be enum underscore, and this is the craft type. And that's all we need in here. So let's have a look at this. So the craft type is for hand. So is it crafted by hand? It is a crafting table. Obviously you can put what you want in here. This is just random things that you'd possibly have in a survival game. The forge. What else have we got? Advanced crafting table. Tabla. Let's correct that. Everyone knows I'm fucking dyslexic and can't spell anything. We have the campfire. And I've got one more. Anvil. So, like you said, add what you want here. These are all the different types of craftings. Okay, save that out. That is done. We now want to do a structure. So that's crafting done. Over here, structure. So we want a new blueprint structure. And this is going to be the craft. How do you spell recipes? CIPS or something. So this is the craft recipes. So in here, I'll open up mine so it's like for like. We have got the texture. 2D is the one you want. This one. Okay, and then you can call that icon. And then we have a new variable. We have the enum item. Right, so I've got enum item list. So what I might have done here, if you are following along and you have got in your enums, this is still called pickup. So what I've done is to make it more dynamic is I've changed the name of that because that's now going to be every item in the game. So it's all in one place, alright? So rename that to enum item type. Okay, that's going to do a shitload of changes, but that's fine. and then you want enum item type in here. My nose is itchy. Okay, so then you want to do name here, and the next one is the craft type, which we're not using just yet, but you will do in the future, so put that in now. And this is the type. Okay, let's type in craft type, and then we have a let me see, so it's a enum item, yes, so basically this is where you'd put it. So this is the require, is that how you spell it? Requirement 1. And this is going to be an item type. Okay, so which item is it? Let's bring this right down. And then you want the amount, or what I have done is I have put requirement amount, and this is requirement 1 amount, and this is going to be an integer. Okay, so that's obviously showing 1. So now we're just going to repeat that a few times. So we're going to add a variable, and this is going to be item type. What we'll do is we'll save type and we'll just copy that, paste it, change to 2, and then I will do another enum and then another one, skip one, paste that in there, type 3, and another one, and then another one, type 4, and another one, and another one. This is going to be type 5, and then you will need one more variable at the bottom. So we have type 2. We want type 2 amount, and change this to an integer. And then copy here, paste amount, change it to an integer. Paste again, put 4 amount, change it to an integer. And type 5 amount, change to an integer. So save, and that is our structure. I have also added to our item enum, which is here, and I've added a new one, and we're going to call that none. Okay, so we have got a blank spot, and then I've put that at the top. Just give it a second to load because it needs all saving and compiling. And if we get a save all, just let it do all that. So that's pretty much done. That's done. BP master pickup, that stays the same. What we've got in here is just call this BP master structure, because this is going to be anything now. Okay. What else have we got in the blueprints? Obviously there is a bit of work to do, like, because the reason this isn't just a bog standard craft, add this, have you got 2 of them, have you got 2 of them, yes, make this. The reason it's a bit complex is because it's dynamic. So let me fucking turn that off. The reason it's, like, how would I put it into words? So we're building it in a way so when we make a game out of it, it's easy and it's quick. So the idea is to write the code so it's, you make 2 clicks and then the code works all the rest out for you. So you don't have to make another widget for this, a widget for apples, a widget for melons, a widget for fucking lemons, a widget for swords, a widget for wood. You won't need to do that. That's the idea of this system. So yes, it's more complex, and you probably find a 5-minute tutorial on how to do it on YouTube, but you won't find this on a 5-minute video. Alright, so it's up to you what you want to do. If you want to code it properly, follow along. Okay, so that said, we want to go in our interface and add two new variables here, and this is going to be update craft slots and generate craft slots. Okay, you could prefix all these because you're going to have a double name later on, you will see. So the update craft slots I have got on my interface over here is the update craft slots. We need a input, and it's going to be the craft recipes structure that we've just made. Make sure that's an array, and this is array of craft items or recipes. Is that how I spell it right? And we need a reference to the inventory component. I don't know why I've got two, but that's fine. It shouldn't make a difference. Make sure that's not an array. And we'll call this one the inventory, like so. And the reason we've got this is, so when you do an update the craft slots needs to check through what inventory, and it needs to check the amounts, pardon me, and the items that are in said inventory. And because this is dynamic, we're using the same component for every inventory. So we need to know which one we're checking for the stock or the amounts of everything. Okay, so that's what that reference is for. For the generate slots, I think we are doing the same again, and this is the craft structure, and that is also an array, and this is the array of craft recipes. I thought that's probably spelled wrong. You know, I can't spell. And this time we need the crafting component, which we have not made yet. So what we're going to do, you don't want to copy and paste this because there's nothing similar in it. You want to add a blueprint class, actor component, and call this the crafting component. Like that, and just save it, and then we will do that graph in a second. This is going to be the crafting. I'm now back in the interface. Crafting component, and we should be able to get that now. Crafting component, yes. Make sure that is not an array. Okay, save. So there's the two interfaces added. Yes, we need to do that. Is there anything else reference wise we need to change? Because I want this to be straightforward. Sorry, nose is really itchy. It's the summer. Drag and drop. You haven't got anything in there yet. No, well, you don't change. PC player, that probably has some reference changes in it. I tell you what you do need to do. In your inventory component, you will have to make a reference to the new crafting component so it knows, so you can update the craft slots when you drag and drop out of another inventory. Okay, so on your variables in your inventory component, just add the crafting component and set the variable crafting component, and that is spelled wrong. Crafting component. Okay, so you now need to reference that. So if you go to event begin play, I think is where I did it. Let's see. No. Inventory setup, no, not there. Not in the widget setup either. I don't think I did it in here. I just made the reference to it, didn't I? Update slots. And we haven't made that function yet. So in the update slots, you're going to drag out the crafting component and do is valid, and we need to make the event here, okay, to do off of is valid. We haven't made that yet, so we will come back here. So we'll leave this open so we don't forget about it. Now then, let's see what else needs doing. There is some work to do in there. Drag and drop player. Right, let's check the PC player. Is there anything in here? Yes, there is that to do. And that to do. Okay, so that's fine. That's fine. We can come back to that as well. So the PC player does need some work in here, which we have not done yet. That might fail actually. Yeah. So what's happened when you add or change your enums, it affects quite a lot of stuff in your project. So the best way to do it is if you change an enum or add an enum, hit save and then press play, and then it'll compile everything at the same time. Because what I've done there is I've tried to compile the PC player and the inventory component, or maybe not the inventory component, but there's other components that aren't compiled. And if you try to compile something like the player's not compiled before another blueprint, right, so let me try and reword that better so it makes sense. So if you try and compile graph 1 before you compile graph 2, it'll get confused. But if you compile graph 2 first, graph 1 will be fine. So that's what's happening there. So if you do get into this situation, nothing's broken, but you might just need to refresh some stuff. Like, is that enough for you? No. So the BP master pickup. Okay, so the master pickup isn't compiled. So let's compile him, and then we should be able to compile this. Do you see how that works? So you have to compile stuff in a certain order, otherwise you'll get problems. So the best way to do it is to make your change, hit save, hit play, and then it'll do it in the right order for you, rather than you trying to guess what needs doing first. Okay, so I just thought I'd tell you that. Now then, the crafting component, should we just get on with that one and start making all the functions? Yes, let's do that, because that's going to take a little while. So let me get mine up, crafting component. So the functions we are going to need. First function is going to be get amount of items by enum or name. Okay, that's going to be our first function. And in here we are going to want two inputs. Okay, the first one is going to be the array of slots to search. So that's obviously the inventory component. I am absolutely flabbergasted to the reason that I have two inventory components. I definitely only have one. So that reference is coming from somewhere, I'm not sure. So, and this is going to be the inventory slots to here's a search. I got it right. And the item type, okay, which is the name. or say name. Hit compile. So the inventory component, we're going to get array of slots, okay, and then a for each loop, connect this up. So we are searching through obviously all the slots, and we are searching for equal enum. Okay, and then obviously we can come off of here and break, and we want to off of here have our enum type in here, and we want to hide all them, and we want the amount as well. Okay, so let's connect everything up. So have we got an equal slot in this said inventory? If we do, we want to set the amount, and we can promote this to a local variable. Just go alpha local underscore amount. Okay, and we want to set the local amount here back to 0. You shouldn't have to do this, but it's good practice to set variables before you change them, especially with loops. Like, you always clear your arrays if you add to the arrays, if that's what you needed to do anyway, because Unreal can fuck you over sometimes. So we want to get the amount, and we want to plus this amount into here, plus set the found amount. Okay, now what's going to happen here is if this is 0, it'll plus the first item, and then it'll run through every item. Is it the same name? No, move on. This one's the same name, right? Get the amount of that, add it to here, and then it'll return out down here with the complete finished amount. So now we can search a full inventory, and we can get the complete amount of all the items with the said name, and we can have a total amount of X. Okay, so if we've got 10 stacks of apples, an apple stacked at 10, this will come out and tell us we've got 100 apples in total, or we've got 100 melons in total. Okay, so that function is finished. So now we're going to go with the generate, and what I'm going to have to do here before we go any further is class settings, and remember we need to add our inventory interface, okay, which will give us all our interface functions. And now when we go to rename this to generate craft slots. Okay, and now what I want to do is I want to prefix this with a little f, so we know this is the function that runs the interface, because we don't want to run the interface from somewhere else. We just want to tell this to run its function. Okay, so this is the function to run the interface. So what we need to do here is in the crafting component, we need to have some variables. So the first variable is going to be the inventory component, because you will have to have an inventory component if you're going to have a crafting component. That's going to be the way this works. So this is inventory crafting component, and this is exposed like so. Okay, next variable I've got here is the array of recipes. It's close enough. So the array of recipes is obviously the craft recipes, and that needs to be an array. This is exposed. We have the craft type, which is not an array and is of craft type, and that is exposed. And we also have our widget underscore ref, which is a user widget. Okay, and that is not exposed. And then what I'm doing here is I will put this into crafting, a little tab, because this will look good on the end product. Okay, so everything should look like that. And now we can do some graph. So we'll get our array of recipes. We'll do it for each loop, not with a break, just straightforward for each loop. And then we're going to break our craft recipes, and we are going to get the craft type here, and is it equal to the craft type here, and then you can hide them. If I cannot start, my face is fucking itchy. I don't know what is going on. Okay, so if that is true, I had something in here. Yes, which would remove it. Now, looking at this back, you probably don't need that. What we'll do is we'll finish the graph, and then if I need to come back and change that, I will. But you just want to call, you want to get your inventory component, get the ref to the widget, and you want to generate craft slots recipe, and the crafting component is itself. Let's move this over a little bit. Craft type up here, grab them two, move this up, and the craft recipes is this craft recipes. I think what I was doing here was removing. So if this was a crafting table, this was to remove, or if it was false, is to remove anything that isn't of type crafting table. I think this was more of a like an error check, just in case hand items slipped into a crafting table slot. All right. So, but we'll leave that there. And then we've always got it if we need to do something here, okay, for future. So, after here, we're going on our next function, and this is going to be update the update craft slots. And this function is really straightforward. Just get your inventory component, get the ref to the widget that you're using, and then you can call update craft slots, and obviously it is the array, and the inventory is the inventory component. Okay, bring that in there, lovely and tidy, lovely little nice function. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. Right, so craft item is the next function. Craft item. So in here we have got the input craft recipe, and this is the craft item info. Okay, so we want to promote this to a local variable, local craft item. I wish Unreal would If it was a if it was a proper variable, then it would have set it. It would have named it for you. But if you do it on a local variable, it doesn't do that. So I wish they'd actually add that in. Anyway, so this is what we're going to do to craft the item, because we don't want to set any information. We don't want to set an array. We don't want to do anything. All we want to do, this is the easiest way I've found anyway. We were going to spawn an actor from class, right? This is not a hacky way. This is a legitimate way. It's not daft. This is, you want a BP master pickup. Why have I got two variables but fucking everything? Do you know what I think it might be? Have I got that stupid... I don't know why I made it into a plugin. I bet it is. Inventory. Slots template. Right. Fucking turn that off. Restart. Save selected. See you in a sec. Okay. We're back. Open everything back up. Yes, that's fine, because now what we're going to have to do is double check that we haven't referenced, for example, in here, the wrong fucking inventory. So if I went inventory, yes, we've only got one now. Alright, sorry about that. But we are all good as long as you've chose the top one. Now then, back to it. So what we're going to do is we're going to spawn this fucking off the map. Alright? It's not going to matter. You're not going to see it. So we're going to spawn that off the map. We're going to get the item info. We're going to break the recipe. And we're going to spawn the name is the type of item we're going to spawn. Okay? Hide that. And now, what we are going to do is we're going to get the item info. And we are going to now get our component, inventory component, and we are going to call pick up item, and then we can plug that into there and that into there. Now, if this was successful, obviously on false, we're going to print string, so we know something's went wrong here. And I am just going to copy that because I'm not fucking typing that again. Select all, paste. Sorry, copy. And I've just gone fail to add item, check the master BP, pickup, possible cause is not set array element or something like that. That's just an error. You shouldn't hit that error anyway. If you want, just put something there, make a note to yourself that where it is and there's been a problem here. Okay, now then, if this was true, which it 9 times out of 10 will be, we're going to destroy the actor. Okay, let's get some reroute nodes in. We're going to destroy this actor because we've got what we need from it, the information. And then we are going to remove multiple items. Okay, so craft item. The next one, add item. Let's see what we've got going on here. That will compile now. Add item. We don't want to duplicate the whole graph. All we want in here is that return. I'm not sure where I'm actually fucking using this to be fair. But if it's in here, we're making it. Item structure. So this needs to be a normal item structure. Okay, I must have some use for this, otherwise I'd have taken it out, I would have thought anyway. And now we need another function, and this is going to be called remove multiple, that's how you spell it, I think, multiple items. Now this is the big fucking daddy event, alright? This is big. On mine, I have split it up into 5 little events. Okay, so I'm basically going to do the first one, and then it's a case of copying and pasting. But it is quite big, so pardon me. I'll go a little bit slow. So we want to have the craft item info in here, and this is a craft recipe, and we are going to promote that to a local variable, local craft recipe. Okay, we're going to break it, and we need to do all of these. Okay, so essentially what we are doing is we are getting the amount, find item slot, by slot name with amount. Okay, so we need to make another function here, because there's a function inside this function, and this one's called find item slot by name with amount. Okay, so and this is going to need a item type, and this is going to be name. Okay, and this is going to output 3 variables. It's going to output the item structure, it's going to output an index, so this is going to be integer, and it's going to output another integer. This is going to be the index, this is going to be the amount in slot, okay, and this is going to be the item info. Okay, that's we'll come back in here in a second. So we're back in the remove multiple items. So drag off of here, we're going to call this event, sorry, so just drag it in like that, connect it up. So we're going to ask for the, sorry, because I'm in between 2 graphs, yes. So we're going to ask for the requirement, okay. Okay, so let me just look through, because there's wires fucking everywhere here. So we're going to find the amount of that item let's refresh that. Okay, well I'm just going to start coding it, and then I'm sure it'll all come back to me. So is the, yes, so what we're doing is we're looking in this slot to see, this is the easy bits, right? So do we have more in one slot than the actual required amount? So for example, if you require 5 apples and you have a slot of 10, you've got more than 5 apples in the slot. So if that is the case, get the inventory component. So connect this up, because this did take a bit of fucking thinking. So if this is true, it's really easy. Let me compile it so we haven't really got errors. All we want to do is remove amount from slot, and the slot info is here, the slot index is here, and the slot amount to remove is not here, it's this amount. Okay, like that. I'll try and make this as super clear as possible. So this is an easy one. Okay, because all we need to do is remove the amount, and then we can call the function update the craft slots. In here, just double check that. Yes, so in the inventory component, which needs something refreshed because we've been changing stuff. In here, I have changed a few things. So when we remove an amount from slot, you want to make a check. Did we remove to 0? So basically, all I'm doing in here now is I've added, does this amount now equal 0? If it does equal 0, then we want to remove this slot altogether. Alright, this is just an error check. It shouldn't happen, but if something happens, you don't want items in your inventory with 0 for an amount. Okay, so we're going to pop this up into here. If this is false, carry on like normal. And what I want to do here is just pop the update all slots in. Okay, and obviously if this is true, you want to remove item from slot, and the slot index is obviously the slot index coming in. Okay, so just make them little two changes, and then obviously you want to update all slots in return. Okay, hit compile, save. This array element is asking to change. So if you get this, just hit refresh, and then compile, and it's fine. So there isn't a real error. It's just like things have changed, I don't like it. It's just refresh stuff. But like I said, if you add or change the enums, just hit play, and it'll compile everything in the right order, and then that shouldn't happen. Now then, back to the crafting component. So this one is now done the easy way. Now what we've got the problem of is we haven't got enough items in one slot to remove. So this means what we're going to have to do is go through the inventory, find a slot with said items, take it away, remove it. How much have we got left to remove? Is it more than 0? Yes. Okay. Find another slot, remove it from there, and this is going to be a loop that goes until we have removed enough to satisfy the craft requirements amount. Okay, so I hope that made sense. So what we're going to do now, if this fails, which it will do 9 times out of 10, because you know you'll probably need a few stacks of wood to make a foundation. I don't know, it depends on your game. What we need to do is in the inventory we are going to remove said item slot. Okay, and the slot we are removing is the index. Okay, this is coming into here, and then we can reroute this so we know this is index now. This is coming down into here, and then what we need to do is we need the amount. Well, we'll drag the amount from here, okay, and we want to minus the amount that we had in this slot Okay, this is going to give us a number, so you can see where these are coming from. So this amount, which I've rerouted off of here, that's why that looks, I mean, I could do that. That might make it more clearer. And it needs to be in this order. So you're taking this amount, you're minusing the amount in the slot. Okay, you are then asking, is this value equal to 0? Because it was the correct amount. So you could have either done equal to or more than, and this would have ran it. But what I'm doing is I'm trying not to change too much in the inventory system, the component. So we're going to do the check here. So you've now got 2 error fail-safes. Okay, so if this is equal to 0, we are done. Because you've got to be, the reason I'm slowing down is because if you don't get this right, you'll get an error, and it'll be an infinite loop error, and the game will not run. Alright, so it'll be an infinite loop, so this bit has to be perfect. And this is just for requirement 1. You've got to do this 5 times, alright? So what we want to do is this amount equal to 0. If it is, you're done. Okay. If it is not equal to 0, I want you to promote this to a local variable, and this is going to be local remaining amount to remove, and you need to set this here. It's important where this is set, and let's give this a reroute, so this can come up here, and you can have 2 down here. Okay, and then you want to run remove, or you can just pull it in, the event again. Okay, now then you need to change the variables here. So you need to make recipe, and you want to get the craft recipe, so you can get the local, which we've set here, and you can break this. Okay, now this bit's important as well because I fucked up here and couldn't work out why I had an infinite loop. So first of all, connect up all the requirements. Requirement 3. What have I done there? No, that's right. Requirement 5. Because this required amount is the amount that's going to be changing. Now, because this is I'm going to put all this into another graph, or I'm going to collapse it, okay, into a macro or something. Now, this changes from requirement 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5. And the amounts that are changing is this amount. And I think I've actually got a local amount for each one. But I'm sure this can be done in one variable, so we're going to test it like this. So in the event of this being requirement number 1, you do that, and then the rest need to be connected. Okay, and that is the end of the requirement 1. Okay, so what I want to do is I'm going to collapse this to a macro. Okay, and then I'm going to rename it to remove requirement 1. Okay, and then we need an output, and it has lost the local variable because, okay, so it doesn't like being in a macro. I should have just collapsed the node. Yes, I tell you what, let's undo, and instead of a macro, we'll just collapse the nodes like this. and rename this. If I think it's fine until you fucking change the name. So make sure you've named it before you change anything. So this is remove requirement 1. Okay, and you will need an output here. So that doesn't need an output. Just this one and this one needs an output. And call this finished. Save. Now it's going to ask for the variables. That's fine. So you're just going to drag this in. You're going to get it. Set it, sorry. Swap over these the pins. Okay. And here. And this will need doing as well. So this can be dropped in, dragged in. Delete that. Dropped in. Dragged in. And then delete that. Okay, now you can compile and save. Now what you want to do is you want to drag off requirement 2. You want to do equals to none. That's why that needs to be there now. And then if it is equal to none, you don't need any more requirements. So at this point, you can exit out and you can call the function to update the craft slots. Alright? So that's finished. I know you're updating twice, but it'll not harm to just call it all the time. Right, now if this is false, you're going to copy and paste requirement number 2, rename it to remove requirement 2, connect it up. Now requirement 2 is going to come off of here, down here. This is the name of it. Put him in there. So this is what it's going to look like. And the amount is going to be here. So let's try and keep this tidy. Okay, I want to input pin. Yeah, you probably could change that to amount. And is that going to fuck me up? Probably. Now then, in here, remaining amount to move, you're going to set it, move it back up. Obviously your craft recipe as well needs changing. Now this comes out of here and needs to change to requirement 2. If you don't do this, you'll have major problems. Okay, so remember to do that, and we have to now do this. Compile, come out of there, and now we need to do it again. So you can just copy, paste, get requirement 3 is equals to none. This is finished. Run into the graph again. Let's add some reroute nodes. You also need the amount. So connect the amount up. Reroute. You can make this look a lot tidier, but you can see what's going on. You could have more up here and make this look really pretty if you want. So first of all, before you change them, rename it if you want. Obviously I have, because you want things to be clear and crystal. Now if you compile, it will lose the references. So drag in, which is a good thing, because you can't forget about this bit if you have to do this. So you do that one. I'll try and speed it up because you've seen it twice now. Like so. Get requirement 4. And the amount. like that. Compile, do the references. Like this. On my other project, I have got 5 of these variables, but I am assuming that that would not be the case here. I don't think that is needed. Because if you aren't coming down this road, it doesn't matter anyway, because you're not plusing or minusing it, you're setting it from this variable. So yeah, you only need one of them, and that will be fine. Yep, and then one more. Okay, so this comes into here. Requirement 5, drag that all the way over. Put a reroute node in, make this tidy, something like that. Connect this one up, and this one all the way into here. And then you can drag that down to here. And again in here, the references, you want to compile. Right, so the reason that's worked is because I haven't renamed it. So if you rename that, it'll fucking freak out and lose the reference. So I wanted it renamed because I want it to look correct. So just spend the extra 3 seconds just changing these over. It doesn't let you do that for some reason. You have to delete this out of the way. And obviously it's a good job I did rename it, because I would have missed that and then had problems. Like that, compile, save. So at the end, do call this again. Just make sure everything's updating all of the time. So what we haven't done yet is this bit, which is the find item by slot name. So it isn't crazy. This is actually pretty straightforward. It's just a for each loop. So we are going to get the inventory component, get the array of slots that we have, do a for each loop with break. Okay, so this one is with a break, and drag this up here. Now we can break this structure, and I've used the name. You can use the slot type, doesn't matter. Enum type, slot type, it is the enum type, badly named to be honest. Is this equals to the one we're looking for? Reroute. If this is true, we want to set some variables. So if this is true, I want to know the amount that I have. So we're going to promote that to a local variable, and this is going to be local amount in slot. I want to know the amount. I want to know the slot index that it's in. So let's reroute this round and promote a local variable. And this is local slot index, like so. And I want to know the item info, which is obviously the array element, so we can drag this. Let's go above, drag this, reroute it, and promote a local variable, local underscore item info. Connect up, and then once we have all the information we want, we can break out, and of course reroute that because that looks horrendous. Okay, so that's that, and then on complete, always on complete, never on the loop body, that fucks everyone up. I want the item info, I want the slot, and I want the amount. Okay, and now this event will work. because inside of here, this is where we are calling it, and that is going to give us the information to do either return out, remove it, and look for another slot, and find the other slot, and done. Right, so that is the inventory component complete, and that is a full hour. So what we'll do is we'll call it there, and I will see you in episode 2. Now don't forget, please subscribe, please leave a like on the video if you want, if you liked it, and flick the little bell, and then you'll know when the next episode comes out, for continuing to build the crafting system. And obviously all these projects are on the Patreon. I'll leave a link in the description. This project's already finished. That is on the Patreon now as well. So I'll see you over there, and ta-ra. See you in the next one.